Welcome to the Game of Life podcast, where we bring you inspiring softball stories, insightful tips from coaches and players, and explore how the game transcends its boundaries to become a metaphor for life. Whether you're a sports enthusiast, a casual fan, or someone just looking for inspiration, you're in for a treat. We'll unravel the tales that go beyond the scoreboard. Discover how perseverance and hard work on the field translates into resilience in your daily challenges. Learn about teamwork, leadership, and the unwavering spirit that fuels success, not just in sports, but in the game of life. All right. It's
Oh boy,
it's been a couple weeks, but you've been out of the country.
I have.
Uh, I've been busy, with rainouts and games and makeups, and here we are. We try to be consistent. It just couldn't work the last couple of days. So how you been, Allie?
Good, excited to be back. Excited to see what our topic is tonight. Well, I know what it is. We actually agreed on this one beforehand, which is rare. But I'm excited to talk about it. I know you're gonna start us off, so I'm
So
ready.
I can't try to fool you like it's a trick.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I wanna talk. Well, we want to talk about anger. So what comes to mind when you hear that word?
It makes me angry to me. No, I'm kidding. I think a lot. I mean, I think when you think about sports, anger is probably one of the top emotions you have to learn how to deal with and learn how to handle. I think one of the things that was always really interesting to me all the way up through college is sometimes anger is a good thing for some athletes, but sometimes anger is a really bad thing. And I think the first thing you have to think about is I think there's two questions. One is what makes you angry? So, like, what type of things make you angry? Is it when you misperform? Is it when someone else performs better than you? Is it when, some external factor happens, the umpire calls a bad pitch on you? Like, what makes you angry? And then the second part of it is, does that make you play better or play worse? Because I know girls out there who it actually makes them play better when they're angry. They got a little fire in them. But I know other girls, like for me, for example, I did not play good when I was angry because I just felt like out of sorts. I didn't practice angry. So when I was angry, I just kind of felt like off my game a little bit. So I think those are my two initial questions with it. Like, what makes you angry? And then, does it make you a better player?
Well, I've never played softball. We've already established that. But I played college golf, and I think there's a lot of there's a lot of parallels because you could make a bat, you could have a bat at bat in softball, and then you have to wait literally like a half hour maybe before you get another at bat. Golf, you hit a bad shot. Not only do you have to wait, you actually have to walk to your bad shot. So, so
Yeah.
like you could strike out in softball, but the next player hits a home run and has your back, for example. Golf, like I hit it, now I have to actually walk to it and play it. So I would get very angry when I was competing in golf. But my rule was by the time I walked to the ball, that's my moment, right? That's the moment I needed. I flush it. And now I'm like, how do I minimize the situation? How do I correct it and just get back on track and go from there? And I feel that's pretty much the same way in softball.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, when you
That's
get
question
angry,
one. We'll get to question two in a minute, but
yeah,
that's
I mean, when you get angry though too, you have to have some sort of timer for yourself because, I mean, a golf round is longer than a softball match, but or a softball game. But a softball game, 2, 3 hours, you strike out in the first inning, you're gonna let yourself be pissed for the next 2.5 hours. Like that just doesn't make sense. And I think that's the hardest part is you have to almost think about your at bats and your position in the field as they're all exclusive, like mutually exclusive events, which means they're all independent. And, I'm a math nerd, so I'm going to use the analogy, right? Like when you flip a coin, there's a 50% chance you're going to get heads and a 50% chance you're going to get tails. If you flip it once and you get heads, that percentage doesn't change the second time you flip the coin. Just because you got heads the first time, it's still 50-50 the second time. So that's kind of how I think about hitting and how I think about softball. You strike out, that doesn't mean you're more likely to strike out next time than you were. I think it's just you, and it's so hard, right? Because it's so many emotions and it's, expecting a lot from yourself, but you have to go up there thinking what I did last time, good or bad, really does not affect what I'm going to do this time because it's completely independent. And I think when you have anger going on and, that first time you strike out, you probably are more likely to strike out the second time if you're carrying that anger with you, because carrying that with you is really heavy and it affects your game, I think.
Well, first off, I have to go back to the math nerd comment.
Yeah.
Uh, from my math, so when people say they bat 300, it's like, oh, one out of every three times you're going to get a hit. No, it's literally one out of every three times every time you're up. Isn't
Yeah,
that
I
called
like,
isn't that
yeah,
called a permutation?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And you add like you so it's heads tails, heads tails, heads tails, but it's 50% every time. It doesn't mean if you get a head, next time you have a tail. Like,
Right.
so my point is in this little rant is that's how hard softball is. Like
Yeah.
you have a 30% chance basically every time you're up, and it has nothing to do with the time before, unless mentally you make it that way. And I think most of the time softball players think of the negative more than, like, I don't think they say, oh, I hit a home run last time, I'm going to hit another one this time. I think they think about it more when they fail, that the next at bat I don't want to fail again, and that's what makes the
Yeah.
batting average so hard. So I love that. And as far as the better or worse, I think the only thing that makes it better is by the time you perform again, whether it's back in the field or next time at bat, you have to convince yourself these events are non-related.
Yeah. Well, I think,
So that's
yeah.
the better or worse part. That's what I meant with question two.
Well, and what I mean by some people is it makes you better. Like there were girls on my team growing up when I'm like, dang, they're pissed. Like this
Yeah,
pitcher better watch out right now. Where like that's what I mean. I don't mean it as okay, I'm angry and I'm gonna be angry at
right.
everybody and everything around me. That's never good if you're gonna be like that to your teammates. But I think there's just some people in sports, it just like clicks them up a notch a little bit when they get that fire in them. So that's what I mean about good. But I think the part you have to remember about anger is it affects everybody around you. Like if there's someone on my team who was angry, it made me tense up a little bit too. So
Yeah.
I think you just gotta kind of be aware of that. To your point of you have to set some sort of timer for yourself. Like for you in golf, it was by the time you walk to the ball. In softball, it can be, okay, I struck out by the time I go back out to the field, I need to flush it. Otherwise, my teammates are gonna see this. No one's gonna know how to approach me. They're gonna feel really awkward around me, and I'm gonna create a really bad environment for my team.
So I'm going to give a scenario where, and then we're going to play with the better or worse, like the person that feeds into anger and the person that doesn't would do. Okay,
Hmm.
first inning, you're the three hitter, whatever, just or whatever. You're up in the first inning, you
Yeah.
strike out.
Hmm.
You, like the person that's angry is going to walk back to the dugout and say, "That girl got me, but I'm telling you, I know what she throws now, and next time I freaking got her number."
Yeah.
And the person that doesn't get angry is going to say, "Oh, good for you. Next time up's going to be my turn." I mean, isn't it the same thought process? But one person thrives on the kind of the negative part of it almost, and the other person thrives on the positive part.
Yeah, because I mean, I've had what I tell my girls when they're hitting is if a pitcher throws a good pitch at you and you swing and miss or you take it, your mindset should be throw me that again, I dare you. Like that's the anger piece. Where it gets dangerous is back to your scenario, you strike out and you go back and you're like, that was a terrible call. I don't even know what's going on. I suck, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. That's the bad part. So it's a very fine line. Because to your point, like, angry or not, that person in your scenario handled it really well. But there's also the flip side of like good and bad of being angry and not angry, where I just said, oh, I suck, blah, blah, blah. And then there's the person like, whatever. Like, that's not really good either. If you just never get mad. But
So it's the power of compounding. And I'll relate it back to golf. Like if I hit a bad shot and I have to walk over to the weeds or wherever it is or in the sand trap, I'm like, all right, that was bad. And I got to own it. And now I'm going to hit the best sand shot ever, or I'm going to hit the best recovery shot. And it's the same with softball. All right, you got me. But you know what? Next time I'm going to use that and learn. And it comes back to the old cliche that you learn best from failure. You don't learn best from success. Because if you rake that first pitch of the game, and I know I'm bouncing all over from golf to
oh,
softball,
I love it. Yeah.
but if you rake that first pitch of the game, you really didn't learn anything for your
Hmm.
next at bat. And that's why sometimes your next at bat may be terrible because the pitcher learned from that. Like it goes both ways.
Right. And the term kind of coming to my mind right now is like controlled anger because I don't think a little anger is never bad because you don't want to be the girl who's playing like crap and it's just like, well, I'm trying my best. Like th that's I get it, but in a way it's like, okay, like I'm gonna use myself for an example. If I played bad, I wasn't happy. I was a little angry, but it has to be controlled. Like you can't let it get to a point of no return is the thing because it just has to be controlled in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes it's okay to pour gasoline on a fire. Like I think of one of our favorite movies we've ever watched was Miracle.
Hmm.
Remember the locker room where the guy's got a bruise and he's like, watch this. He's like, a bruise on the leg is a long way from the heart, you candy ass. And the
Yeah.
guy's just like, what? And he's flipping tables and everything. And the coach just goes, you think that's going to get him going? Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not recommending that's what you do in high
No,
school.
no.
Call somebody a
Yeah.
candy ass. But I mean, like that's controlled anger. And that's knowing your players and everybody's different.
Yeah, well, I think too, like the thing about softball and the reason I never played good when I was like really angry is because it affected me physically. Like I would try to swing harder, I would try to throw harder, and that just wasn't good for me. And it's not good for some people. Whereas like some people can be angry and it doesn't affect them physically at all. And I think there's certain sports that are maybe better for that or worse for that. But softball, it's like a lot of people say like, oh, you're pressing, like you're doing this, you're trying too hard because you're so angry. You try to swing harder and go get the ball, and then you start lunging forward. You're on your front side, and it almost makes you more angry, and then it's just a cycle of like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now?
So if your teammates when you played were watching this, would they know who they are, the ones where anger helps and the one where anger doesn't?
100%. a hundred
And
percent.
would
I
you
could
know?
list
Like
them
you
right
could
now.
identify.
I could list them right now. I'm not gonna, but they know who they are. Yeah.
But did your coaches know that?
Yeah. Because
100%,
here's the
right?
thing, like why do you think coaches scream at certain players and not at others? It's not like a favoritism thing, but my coaches knew for me, they could scream at me or they could whisper something in my ear. I am going to receive it the exact same way. Other people don't receive it well unless they're getting screamed at. Like that's just how they receive well. So, and a lot of it has to do with, okay, like I need to get fired up, I need to get angry, or me, I'm like, okay, what are the actual words you're saying? Because that's what I need to hear.
Yeah, when I coached high school basketball, our varsity coach was incredible. I was the JV coach, and girls would be like, "He's yelling." I'm like, "No, he's not yelling. He's just super passionate. Like, listen to what he's saying. He's just fired up because he's a competitor." Like,
Hmm.
but again, to be fair, you have to know how to receive things.
Yeah. I think
Because you're not if you're one that's like I don't think as a 14-year old girl you go up to your travel coach or high school coach and say, you're yelling at me right now, and it would be much better served if you whisper in my ear.
no, you just learn to deal with it at some
Right,
point.
right. But unfortunately, a good coach should learn who's responding this way and that way. But as a player, you can't you don't get to choose, I guess. But
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have
yeah.
to learn to deal with it.
I think too, going back to one thing that just popped in my head, I always think is funny is going back to the controlled anger. So if you have someone who gets like over the edge angry and they're just like pissed at the world during a game, you ever seen those girls who are so pissed that they do something good, but they're like so committed to their piss bit that they like won't smile or do anything?
Yeah,
Like it's like, oh, I've been so angry this whole time. I did something good, but I can't change my
right.
emotion. Like I always just think that's so funny. That's why you can't get too high or too low because that's always frustrating playing with a girl. It's like I'm happy go lucky when I'm doing good, but I'm pissed when I'm not doing good. And
Right.
then I'm just, it's just that's just funny to me sometimes. I'll look at girls and be like, you can smile, like it's okay.
They're so committed to the identity they've made for themselves that they can't even experience the good moment that just happened.
Yeah, it's so funny to me.
No, I think so how do you move on from this, or what's the answer, or what?
What's the answer? I
Well,
don't
I
know. No,
mean,
I'm kidding.
so two things. I guess it's important to identify which person you are
Mhm.
as a player. It's important for a coach to do it. But what if you're a player that identifies one way, but a coach only coaches the other way? I guess that's what I want to ask you. So how do you deal with that?
That's tough. I think in some way, like if you're angry, because the biggest one is like if you don't respond to being yelled at and a coach is screaming at you and you're like, oh my gosh, they're screaming at me. You have to figure out a way on your own to get unangry. Like you have to have some sort of I don't know. Like you could have a writing on your sign sheet. In golf, you could have something in your bag you look at. It could be a hair tie on your wrist, you snap, and it's
Yes.
like, all right, I get out of it. Softball field, I pick up dirt and I throw it. Or, in high school, one of my teammates and I had a funny thing. We saw it in a movie, and anytime, or I think it was travel ball, when I made an error, she'd come up to me and be like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, you shouldn't be because that sucked." And then like we just start laughing. We'd start laughing at each other because that was just our cue of like, dude, it's okay. Just relax. And it's for me, like I just needed to laugh. And then I was like, all right, it's okay. I gotta get through it. Where other people, it's like, okay, a certain word or a certain saying, or even I've seen people where something happens and they say a phrase to them, like repeat it to themselves out loud. They're like, shake it off, I got that. Like they start saying stuff. So it can either be like I think that's a good way to do it, honestly, is you grab a teammate and you're like, hey, we're gonna do this for each other. The
Okay.
girl on the field next to you, a girl in the dugout. But I just think you have to find a way for yourself. Like you can't rely on other people to get you out of it all the time. So you have to find a way of some sort to say, this is how I'm gonna snap myself out of it if in this given time allocated. And there's even times where I've been so mad and it'll be like an inning and a half that's gone by and I go to one of my teammates, I'm like, dude, I just can't shake this right now. I need you to help me. Like, I need you to tell me something. Don't
Nice.
feel like you're in it by yourself because there's people around you who have felt the same exact thing. That's what being on a team is. And I remember there was one weekend in college, I just like could not hit the ball in this game. I struck out like 3 times in a row and I just could not shake what was happening. And I looked
You
at one of
wouldn't
my
listen to me.
yeah, right.
No,
And
I'm
I
joking.
looked at, no, but I looked at one of my teammates in the dugout. I'm like, I need you to like help me right now. Like I don't, my head is just so far gone. I just need you to tell me something. And she did, and she helped me out. She's told me like physically, she's like, what are you thinking about? Blah, blah, blah. And it got better. So I feel like a lot of times when people are angry, one, they feel like nobody else notices, which they do because it's really obvious
They
most
all
of the time.
notice. Yeah.
And two, you're not in it alone. Like there's whatever sport you're playing, X amount of people around you who have gone through exactly what you're going through right now. So who better to talk to than those people?
Well, this is neat to know because I'm not a yeller as a coach. So there's probably girls on my high school team that need to play angry. But if I'm like not raising my voice or being angry, maybe they need to have a teammate that helps them in that situation or vice versa. Is that what
Well,
you're
I
saying?
don't, yeah, but
I
I
mean, I'm
also
not
don't think,
saying yell at them, but it's like I'm not helping them in that regard because I'm
no,
just not a
but
yeller.
no, but you don't need to be like, I don't need to be screamed at to get angry. I need to
Honest
perform
is
to
is
get angry.
honest is honesty a better word? Like you just need to be honest with people.
Yeah, honest, but also like it's self-inflicted. Like if I strike out twice, I'm angry at myself. Like now I've done
Mm,
that to myself. It's not someone else screaming at me or like saying something that
okay.
makes me angry. It's I'm upset with my performance. I'm upset
Yeah.
with the umpire. I don't like the score of this game right now. The girls on the other team are super rude. Like it's
So I
any
guess what I'm saying, if I'm not the catalyst to help you, then you might need a teammate to help you. Is that what you're
yeah.
saying?
Yeah, or
Okay.
like you don't need to play angry all the time. Like
Right.
no one should walk out on the field and just be like, I'm so mad all the time. Like that's not that wouldn't be yeah, like that wouldn't be fun. But I just think there's certain girls. So for example, if you know a girl plays really well angry and they strike out, maybe don't go up to them right away and be like, shake it off, like it's okay. Just kind of let them sit in it for a minute. Because I honestly, the biggest part I see that with is pitchers who also hit. Like usually they play angry well because they strike out and then they're like, I'm gonna go fix it on the mound. And then they dominate on the mound and it just kind of goes back and forth. That's just in my experience,
No,
what I see.
it's funny. Sometimes when a pitcher's not a PO and they're pitching and hitting, they almost pitch better when they don't hit well. I mean, it's not universal. I
Yeah,
don't mean I'm not
I
trying to
know.
chart it. Like I have no
Crazy.
data with that, but it's like All right, now I'm going to go out and I'm just going to pound the zone. And if I'm not hitting, nobody else on this field's hitting. Well, I think this has been an awesome episode tonight.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this one. I think it's good insight and even a good reminder for us talking about it to, continue to practice some of these things in everyday life too.
Yeah, and I think the perspective from both sides, players, coaches, and different ways to handle the issue is what makes it best. I mean, you just have to try to find what works best for you.
Yeah, we'll have to do a whole nother episode on parent anger.
Yeah, that'd be funny. All right, we'll talk to you.
Sounds good. Bye.